On the Jordan side, this was kind of more of the landscape that we experienced. So as we read, and if you'll notice, whenever you read the scripture and it may say something like beyond the Jordan, it's on the other side of the Jordan River. Guess what we're talking about? We're talking about the country of Jordan. And so it was really beautiful place. There's Randy right there taking some photos. Um, and then I decided to try to make it to the top. I told her to mute it because I'm like breathing really hard by the time I get to the top here. And so I asked them to mute that. But when you get to the top, just kind of seeing just the magnitude of this location. There's some more people selling stuff. But this place is just like it just keeps going and going. Again, an ancient city. You can see at the bottom left of that where it's eroded. And, they've come in and done some things to try to um, reconstruct and to, there's some color right there. That's a little bit better. And then just looking over the valley, it was a massive place. It made you feel about this small, standing there and just kind of looking out. All right, you can go on to the next one. Okay, yeah, Mount Nebo. So the last one is Mount Nebo. And let me just share a portion of scripture with you that really sets the stage for what we're about to see. And so in Deuteronomy chapter 34, God has Moses and he has him up on the top of Mount Nebo. And this is the moment where God tells Moses, you're not going to the promised land. But from the viewpoint that he's in, he can see across the valley and he can see the promised land. After 40 years of wandering, he can finally see it. He doesn't get to enter it, but here's that's not it, is it? Yeah, it is. So here's the valley. And as Chris was talking about, the valley of Jericho is in that plain, and then you'll see the Dead Sea. I'm going to walk up over that rock right there, or did I not? It's not in that video. Oh well, that's a bummer. Okay, so you did. Sorry. So from the vantage point, when you're standing in the highest part, as you're looking, you can see the Dead Sea. You can see from there. You can see Jericho, where old Jericho was, where Jericho still stands today, and then you can also see Jerusalem. And I just put myself in Moses' shoes and sitting there thinking, man, Moses, you got that close, you got that close, but you could see Deuteronomy 34 just comes to life, and now Mount Nebo is not just a foreign concept, but it is a place where Moses experienced God's presence. And he looked over there, and so you could see the valley. And then the story. Joshua, he now is the leader of the tribe. As Moses dies, Joshua takes them down through the valley. And where do they go first? You remember? Jericho. And God tells them what to do at Jericho. They march around Jericho, and then after they leave there, then they enter into the Promised Land. And so it was just a really it was overwhelming as far as you're seeing a lot, you hear a lot, they're telling you a lot, and there's a lot of aha moments, but there's so many aha moments, it's almost like being thirsty and going and standing in front of a fire hydrant to get a drink of water. Like it's just blasting you with information and stuff, so it takes a little while to soak it in. But I want to encourage you. It is about a year and a half away, but if there is a slight inclination, and my hope, so is one main purpose of going on this trip was to be able to offer opportunities for our people and those that we know an opportunity to be able to go. And so I plan to go in November of 24, and then I plan to go again 2 years after that. So a 2-year rotation every other year, potentially going, just to help you know. The cost of the trip this past year was $4,500. It covered a Mercedes bus that we were on with Wi-Fi. It covered 5 different hotels that we stayed in. All are 5-star. Every hotel included a buffet breakfast and a buffet dinner. You may not like the buffet items that they offer all the time, but the longer you're there, the more that you're like, I'll try it. Sure, why not? And so I'm not a picky eater. I tried a lot of things, not everything, but you find your go-tos there. The lunch is not included because you're traveling, but what some of our folks did was they took stuff off the breakfast bar, and of course you got snacks anyway, and took bananas and apples and things of that nature with them. And some ate lunch and some didn't eat lunch. But there's a way around reducing the cost in that way. Um, phenomenal, phenomenal trip, and I'm thankful as your pastor to be able to go to experience it, and already I've seen a little bit of a difference in my connection with the scriptures, and as I read, you know, how many times have you said, "Where are you from?" Well, I'm from Locust Fork. Where's Locust Fork at? Right? We get that reaction, but until somebody's been there, I'm in Locust Fork. I know where Locust Fork's at. I've been there. I see it in the map. I know. I know. It just makes a difference of looking at the scriptures and reading them and saying that, you know, when Jesus was at the Sea of Galilee, I know where that's at. And I've seen where Jesus was preaching the Sermon on the Mount, you know, the Beatitudes there. You know, I've seen where, you know, the 5,000 were potentially believed to be fed there. You know, I've seen where the place potentially, somewhere on that water, he walked right across it. You know, we got to go out on a little boat ride, and you want to talk about a really awesome experience. And the wind, it was windy that day. And so you could imagine, the guide said, you could imagine how quickly a storm could come up. I said, I do now. You know, and so it's just, there's a lot of things that really, as Chris said, it wasn't life changing because we know what we believe, but it was an opportunity to make some things kind of come to life and to reaffirm what we already know is true in Scripture. And I'm thankful for that. And my hope and prayer is if that door opens for you, that you'd walk through it, that you'd take that opportunity to do that again. So that'll be a year and a half from now when we'll have that chance to do that. I guess in closing, what I would like to say is, when we were walking through Jerusalem, you walk down the Via Dolorosa, and you kind of almost can picture now, as you have walked and you've toured, you almost can picture now where the whipping occurred, where he drugged the cross. And as I stood in that little alleyway, I just was thinking, what would have been my